For years, the paint industry sold mold-resistant coatings at premium prices, while one of the cheapest antifungal minerals on Earth was pushed out of ordinary consumer formulas. Not because it failed, because regulators classified key borates so aggressively that mainstream consumer brands stopped wanting the liability, even while borate chemistry remained common in industrial wood protection and EPA-registered treatments. Mold remediation now routinely costs homeowners thousands, yet the answer costs less than $3 per batch. They spent decades making sure you never know this. Stay with this, because once you see what was removed from your walls, you will never trust the paint aisle the same way again. Mold does not arrive like a disaster. It begins like a rumor. A dark line in the bathroom corner, a sour smell behind a dresser, tiny gray freckles above a window. Then the cycle starts. Spray it, wipe it, paint over it, watch it come back, and every return costs you. A small cleanup becomes a weekend. A hidden wall becomes a contractor visit. A simple room can mean professional remediation billed at roughly $10 to $25 per square foot, and wall remediation can stretch into the thousands or far beyond if damage spreads. You have been paying for expensive coatings, expensive cleaners, and expensive repeat labor when a cheap mineral treatment can make the surface far less welcoming to mold in the first place. You were told mold is just a cleaning problem. That was designed to keep you paying. Because the official cycle has always been the same: scrub the stain, buy another gallon, trust the label, and never ask why the wall beneath the paint was left chemically defenseless. The part they never say out loud is the part that matters most. If the moisture remains, mold returns. And if the surface is never treated before painting, you are not solving the problem, you are decorating it. The chemistry behind this did not appear on a lifestyle blog last year. It goes back more than a century. In 1877, a German inventor named Dr. Name, Hugo Zerner, patented a wood protection mixture containing boric acid. In 1913, Dr. Karl Heinrich Wohlmann developed a chromium-boron preservative. During the 1930s, borates began gaining value as standalone protection against wood-destroying insects in New Zealand and Australia. By 1949, borate wood preservation had been commercialized. This has been field-tested for over 75 years. That history matters because it destroys the myth that borates are fringe chemistry. They are old, industrial, documented, proven, and then the modern split happened. Borates stayed alive in the professional and industrial world, especially in wood preservation, where borate compounds such as disodium octaborate tetrahydrate are still described as effective against moisture, rot, fungi, and pests. But in the consumer imagination, they faded. The shelf space shifted to premium, mold-resistant branding, specialty additives, and repeat purchase solutions that treated symptoms on the visible side of the wall. The same chemistry that was sidelined in many consumer settings never disappeared from serious protection systems. EPA labeling for Boracare still states that disodium octaborate tetrahydrate is toxic to listed insects, decay fungi, and algae. But here's what they never told you about why that matters. If a chemistry is still trusted where failure is expensive, the issue is not that it stopped working. The issue is where the market decided it was no longer convenient. Then came the regulatory hammer. Under European Union (CLP) rules, some borates, including boric acid and sodium tetraborates, received reproductive toxicity classifications with warning language stating may damage fertility, may damage the unborn child. That did not erase borates from industrial use, but it absolutely changed how consumer-facing companies viewed formulation risk, labeling, compliance, and liability. In plain English, once a cheap mineral becomes a legal headache, many mainstream brands would rather reformulate, raise prices, and sell you something else. This was buried not by one midnight meeting in a smoke-filled room, but by the cleaner machinery of regulation, compliance, and product strategy. And then, almost overnight, it disappeared from the story ordinary homeowners were told. Not from chemistry, from memory. But what exactly is this mineral, and why does it still outperform the products painted as modern replacements? The mineral is borax, a sodium borate, and the wider family is borates. Its power is simple. Mold needs moisture, food, and a friendly surface. Paint films and drywall dust can become that surface. Borites change the equation by creating conditions fungi do not handle well, while also acting in related borate systems that are recognized for controlling fungi and decay in wood protection. The science is not controversial, the suppression of it is. Think of mold like a trespasser testing doors in the rain. A damp, untreated wall is an unlocked entry. A borate-treated surface is not magic, but it is a much worse place for spores to settle, feed, and establish. Research on boron-based coatings has shown measurable anti-mildew effects, including visible inhibition zones against Aspergillus niger in modified coating systems. Separate USDA Forest Service work found that boric acid or disodium octaborate tetrahydrate combined with fatty acids could inhibit mold growth synergistically on wood. And here is the part most people miss. Most people watching this will bookmark it and never try it. A small percentage will change something in their home this week. You already know which one you are. Conventional consumer mold-resistant paint often asks you to pay more for the top film while the substrate underneath stays untreated. No plumber will ever tell you that chemistry under the paint matters more than marketing on the can, and the EPA is explicit about one thing: do not paint over moldy surfaces, because if the moisture problem remains, the mold usually comes back. The answer has been sitting in your laundry aisle this entire time: borax, not as a magic sprinkle thrown into a leaking house, as a cheap borate pretreatment is used the right way, before repainting, after cleaning, and only when the moisture source has been fixed. The insert costs less than $3 per treatment batch. What you need is simple: borax powder, hot water, a bucket or spray bottle, gloves, a scrub pad or brush, and a clean cloth. For the amount used on a typical bathroom corner, closet wall, or window surround, the chemical cost is usually well under $3. Here is the method. Step 1. Fix the moisture first. If the wall is still getting wet, stop here. Repair the leak. Vent the room. Lower humidity. EPA says the key to mold control is moisture control, and none of this works long-term if water keeps feeding the wall. Step 2. Do not paint over active mold. Clean the visible growth first. That is not optional. EPA explicitly warns not to paint or caulk moldy surfaces because the coating can peel and the problem returns underneath. Step 3. Make a strong borax wash. Use hot water so the powder dissolves more easily. For a small job, use a few tablespoons in a spray bottle. For larger wall prep, scale up in a bucket until the water becomes a strong borate solution. It should look clear to slightly cloudy. Step 4. Apply it to the vulnerable area. Mist or wipe the surface so it is evenly damp, not dripping. Focus on corners, trim lines, closet walls, backs of furniture zones, window perimeters, and bathroom ceilings where condensation forms first. Step 5. Work it in. Use the brush or pad to spread the solution into pores, texture, seams, and tiny cracks. This is where spores like to anchor. The surface may feel slightly slick while wet. As it dries, it can leave a faint mineral haze. Step 6. Let it dry completely. That dry down matters. No fan-assisted rush job on a wet wall. Dry means dry. Step 7. Wipe away loose residue, then prime and paint. Not because the borate failed, because adhesion still matters. The goal is a treated, dry, clean substrate under the coating, not chalk trapped under a fresh film. By the time you finish watching this, you'll never look at your bathroom ceiling, window trim, or closet corners the same way again. Now the skeptical question. If this works, why is borax not in every paint can? Because there are 3 catches. First, borates are not a cure for uncontrolled moisture. Second, some borate systems can leach in wet exposure, which is why outdoor and advanced coating systems try to lock them into a matrix. Third, regulatory classification made borate use in consumer-facing products far less attractive for mainstream brands, but here's why it actually works. When used as a low-cost pretreatment on a dry, cleaned surface, you are no longer relying on the paint label alone. You are changing the chemistry of the surface before the spores ever get comfortable. You've been paying for expensive paint upgrades when this cheap mineral can give the wall a smarter start. That is the part no premium label wants you thinking about. First proof, Borat preservation is not a rumor. The record goes back to 1877, advances through 1913, expands in the 1930s, and reaches commercialization by 1949. That is not fringe internet folklore. That is documented history. Second proof, EPA-approved labeling for Boracare states that disodium octabrate tetrahydrate is toxic to listed insects, decay fungi, and algae. Again, not lifestyle language. Regulatory language. Third proof, modern coatings research has shown boric acid boric systems producing visible anti-mildew effects, while USDA Forest Service research found borat plus fatty acid systems could inhibit mold growth synergistically. When independent work keeps pointing back to borates, the pattern becomes hard to ignore. And the money? A homeowner can spend thousands on repeated cleanup, repainting, or remediation. The borate pre-treatment batch for a problem corner costs pocket change by comparison. Quietly, year after year, that difference becomes hundreds or thousands saved. They tried to discredit the chemistry by making it sound old, unsafe, or obsolete. But old is not obsolete. Old is often what worked before the margin got involved. Information like this gets softened, buried, or reframed until it sounds too ordinary to matter. Save this. Share it. They've removed it before. Because the people most likely to need this are not contractors with procurement accounts. They are renters, parents, homeowners, people staring at the same damp corner every winter and being told the answer is another expensive gallon. Every week, something else surfaces that they spent decades making sure you'd never know this. Stay close to our channel if you want what was classified, buried, or erased from the consumer version of the story. And remember the one fact that changes everything. The wall was never just dirty. It was untreated. Once you understand that, you stop reacting like a victim and start protecting your home like someone who finally saw through the lie.